Well, happy Monday night, everyone. I'm Aaron here in the Bowtie Treasures studio. How you doing? Let us know in the comments where you're watching from tonight. Grab a friend. Let's hang out together. Dixie Belle is live, so thank you so much for joining us. If you're watching on replay, we always like to know that as well. Let us know. This is the piece that I'm working on tonight. This is the before photo. And so we're going to do some blending and highlighting of the details. I want to accentuate all the beautiful lines and curves of this piece. So in just a few minutes, we're going to jump right on that, and I'm going to showcase all my steps on how to do that. So a few weeks back, I bought two dressers. Well, one's a dresser, one's a buffet. And this was the first one I painted. So this is another French Provençal piece that I'm going to demonstrate the highlighting. You can see in the middle of the doors and on the drawers. And so this was one piece, and literally the sister piece I bought at the same estate sale. I painted it, and I just posted that on my page yesterday. It's Sawmill Gravy and Fluff. So totally the same, literally the same piece. I mean, not literally the same piece. Sister pieces. Not only are they sister pieces, but the two sisters bought each one. But I wanted to feature some more French Provençal blending, if you will, and that's what we're going to do tonight. Or let me just tell you the three colors that I'm working on tonight. The base coat is Mint Julep. We'll be highlighting with Sea Glass, and then I'll use Palmetto for the shading. And then, of course, like I said, we will be using Gold Gilding Wax as time permits. If I get time and it all dries up. I didn't pull out any heat gun or hair dryer tonight, so we'll see how that goes. Okay. I think everything's working. Hopefully everything's running smoothly. You can hear everything right. But let's jump into it. When you're doing French Provençal or detailed projects like this, patience is key because there's a lot of steps. You know, every drawer's got its own unique decoration going on. I do know that I probably have to do some troubleshooting on this piece because some of the drawers don't want to go all the way in. And I think I'm just going to have to probably sand a little bit of these corners. Furniture over the years, this is probably made in the 60s. Over years, they just get off square and things just start rubbing. So in order for this to slide in smoothly, see, like right now, it kind of gets stuck right here. I'll have to fix that. But I can do that off camera. But I'm just telling you right now, some of these are not pushed in all the way. And this whole side over here is not square. So I've got a little bit of work to do on that, but that's not going to hold us up for this live tonight. I like to have Dixie Belle's sanding sponges available because every once in a while I'll see a little piece of chalk paint that needs to be rubbed off. So just like to keep that handy. I always like to sand the top smooth. I won't be doing anything fancy with tonight, but this is one of my best friends at Dixie Belle products that they have. So if we go with the idea of one drawer at a time, let's just do one drawer and see where we are. And hey, Leah, good to see you tonight. Thank you so much for watching. What I wanted to do, or my vision for this project, is that I want to have a glow, and then I'm going to put shading on the outside edges. And that'll create some great contrast. That'll allow us to really accentuate these drawers. There are plenty of places to put shading, but for now, let's start with the drawers and let me walk you through those processes. If you've done shading before, I think you'll appreciate this. If you've never seen shading or highlighting, if you want to call it really shading, but the key is you want to get two colors, one that's lighter than the other, or if you want to darken it, go the other direction. Now I could go really contrasting and go with like fluff or cotton, but I didn't want it to stand out that much. That's enough for me on this project. I want it to be subtle. Probably one of my top words that I like to use for my projects is subtle. When I'm going with blending, I guess. Misting bottle is a must. You need to have that handy and ready to go. Choice of brushes, I would recommend something like the flat small would be really good. If you want to go a little bit larger, you could. I wouldn't go much larger than the flat medium. And I know a lot of the content creators and brand ambassadors have been featuring brushes which are perfect. I like to do a lot of blending, and bringing out the natural bristle brushes are always great. This is the French tip, and this is great for getting in all the details. And if you need a little bit larger, the next step up, actually, I take that back. The next step up would be the Bell brush, which I really love this brush. And you can see sideways how it's a little bit narrower and it's wider as opposed to a complete circle with the La Petite brush. So I'll keep those handy and we'll just pull those out as we need to. For now, let's focus on the blend or the highlight. I say highlight because that's what I'm trying to accomplish. I'm trying to highlight the hardware. There's two choices when you blend. One, you could bring the two colors in and stop, put the light color and then blend the strip between, or you can paint all of it, put the light color over it and kind of paint it into. That's what I'm doing here. Let me just give it a quick mist. Seems like of late I've done more discussion about blending, but I know a lot of you really enjoy doing it too, so I hope I can do it justice. I don't really need to do a full coat because the first coat did pretty well. So this is just a quick, wet, fast coat. The key here is to get the color on the piece. But when you're blending, there are three key techniques I like to push. Work quickly, keep it wet, and use a light touch. Those are my three tips. So you see how quickly I just put a coat of color on there? I'm going to put that brush to the side. I'm going to grab another 1 inch. And here's where you want to have a little bit of consistency. So it's all wet, right? And I'm just going to put a little bit of highlight, just like this. And I probably dipped my brush in maybe 1/8 of an inch. The key is whatever you just did, you want to be consistent all the way across on all the drawers. I'm going to take the Bell brush. And I like to have a wet rag so I can discharge some of the extra color. And here's where light touch. I have a little too much paint on there. Let me just wipe some of it off. Light touch means I'm using maybe 10%, 15% pressure. You don't want to drag the paint off. What you're looking for is a soft, disappearing, you don't want any brush strokes. My camera's making it a little brighter than it is only because it's wet. It has kind of a highlight. So just light touch. And as you finish up, even lighter. I'm barely touching it. Wipe that off. Get ready for the next one. Now right here, I'm going to go back with my original brush. And I'm going to look for any areas that I don't want the sea glass to be over the edge. I'm not going to stress over it because I'm going to put gold gilding wax here. But I don't want any obscure or unneeded sea glass outside of the highlight. So if you compare the two now, highlight, no highlight. So, but we use blending to accomplish that. And that's the secret. Now I have my misting bottle. I want to make sure I don't spray up here because I don't want any spots. So just kind of keep focused down below. And let's go in there real fast again with, actually I didn't mean to paint. Not that I can't paint the outside edge, but I'm not blending out there. If you do a good enough coat, depending on the value and the tone of the color, you may only need one coat. But I can do shading on the inside but I chose to only do the shading around the edge. It's your choice. I almost treated it like a frame. You ever see those old furniture or old frames where the art is kind of raised inside the middle? Okay, we're gonna go in there sea glass now. You can use whatever colors you want. Light color, medium color, dark color. Now we're going back with the Bell brush, light touch. Don't stress out on perfection or them being exactly matched. If you follow the same steps, you should do pretty well. If you get too much, just wipe it off. And guess what? If it doesn't work on your first try or two, just put some more paint over it and try again after it all dries. You have just a few seconds before this starts getting sticky. Once it's sticky, you either need to re-wet it or step away and just go ahead and let it dry. And then it's gonna go through some weird drying phases and you're just gonna go, oh, this isn't working. Just let it completely dry before you panic, okay? We should never panic. So remember, let me just go back to our previous picture. That little glow that's showing up on those panels is the same technique. On this one, on the pink one, you can really see it behind the hardware, those little glows happening. That's the same technique. You can see again, I've got my rag out when you're blending, you're picking up paint, so you don't want to keep just putting it down. And to me, though, having the rag wet kind of keeps your brush wet as well. Let's bring out a little brush. So Dixie Belle has these packages of craft brushes. There's 4 in a pack, artist brushes. And I'm going to use one of them to add on the shading. And we're going to use Palmetto. So Palmetto, if you think about my color palette tonight, they're all teal based. And this is a really beautiful dark teal color. All I'm going to do is I'm going to spray just put something aside here. A lot of moving parts tonight, eh? So mist. You don't want to mist over your wet blending, but this should be dry enough now we can do this. You can be a little messy here. The key is you're getting the paint on, okay? And work in small areas. Don't work all the way around because it's going to start drying on you. I'll give it another mist. Now this is where I'm going to use the French tip. And this is where I want to soften. If it's not moving, it's not wet enough. I'm kind of jabbing and sliding around. You can do this on the inner circle, inner frame if you want, but I don't really want the dark color inside. And if you need to, you can always add more color. Like if you wiped a lot of it off, just come back in there and give it a little bit more definition. It's totally up to you. Make sure this is light mist. Typical warning I give is don't overly mist. If anything, you might have to mist your brush, because anytime you put mist on this part, it will possibly leave spots, water spots. So I'm gonna erase. I love the rag being wet. It gives me the ability to wipe off anything I don't want before it dries. This is very thin. It's almost like you're painting watercolor. And that's the beauty of using chalk paint to do this, is because you can use any color you want. Now, if you want, you can come back and wipe some of that away off of the details. Totally optional at this point. Now, it does create a little bit of a harder edge, so you might I'm just toning it back a little bit, or vignetting it. So you can kind of see a little bit how the top one has that definition and the bottom one's a little flat. Let's go across to the top. Just adjusting things. Okay, so I'm just going to mist above. One quick line of mist. I always feel like I need an extra set of hands when I'm doing this. You see how I'm just running the color as little or as much as you want. And a little mist again. Easy way to add some definition to any kind of detail. It wants to dry quick, so keep it wet. And there's the beauty of this brush is that it has a nice rounded point to it. The newer the brush is, the more pointed it is. Just looks like I need to do a little bit of a cleanup on the right side over here. Got those drops. You can somewhat reactivate this with the mist. So look how lovely, let me see if I can bring in a little bit, how lovely that definition is. And you keep doing this all the way around, and it's just going to add some unexpected surprises of depth. You're not going to see this much or very often. So if you like a little bit extra, this is extra. See how I'm kind of pushing that in there? We'll just go underneath, and then I'll give it another mist. If you need to, mist on your brush instead of on the project if you feel like you don't want to get any of the mist in the wrong place. Other brushes you could use, I could use another bell brush to do this process. It would probably work. Anything that has a round feel. Here I'm going back to a little bit of erasing. You can see the difference between this side and that side, how that little vignetting works so well. And I really like that quite a bit. And I mentioned earlier on at the beginning of our live that this is one of those projects where you have to have some patience, because again, if you're gonna do it on the entire project, it's going to take a little bit of time, but the value you're adding to your project. Now, most of you may not be sitting around doing a 9-drawer French provincial piece, but frames, mirrors, small nightstands, whatever it might be. This technique has paid so many dividends and done so much benefits to my projects. I don't know what I would do without it. It just fits my style really well. And I've had many people try it and get a lot of, not necessarily compliments to me myself, but enjoyment that they learned something that they can add to their repertoire. And so technically, that right there, that drawer is done. If we step back a little bit, you can see over here, it doesn't quite have that. And just little by little, you go back and add it. However, since we have that done, that top drawer done, let's complete the look, if you don't mind. So the next step, oftentimes I'll take a brush, like I've got just a inexpensive craft brush. I'll use this a lot for just putting gilding wax on small details, but these are big enough that oftentimes the neck, I'll just use my finger and just put some gold on it. I really like Dixie Belle's gold gilding wax formula. It works really fine for me to go ahead and put gilding wax on now. You do not have to wait till the chalk paint dries or that it's top coated. You can totally do this right now. And I can top coat, which I normally always do. You can top coat over gold gilding wax. You just need to give it some time to dry. A good day at least would help. And I'm looking back at reference at the previous project to make sure I know. I'm kind of a fan of fading out my gilding wax. You're welcome to do all of it and every bit of detail, but I like to just highlight it. So you can see how I'm just hitting, and I keep dipping back in the container. You see how I'm not going all the way around the edge? I'm just hitting the high points. You complete the vision you want. I just like the idea of just the tops. It does save a little bit of time. It's not like I'm being cheap on it. I like the idea of just highlighting it. And then so if I think about composition and art, guess what's in the middle of this panel? This is where I'd look for a show of hands. Well, the hardware is in the middle. So notice how I'm fading this out and I'm bringing the eye to the hardware. And so that's one reason where I just kind of start fading out. Other than just thinking that looks cool to me, I could keep going all the way across, but I am leading the eye a bit, so it doesn't. There we go. Just lighten your pressure. There's something very therapeutic, Dixie Belle, with this product you made. It's like if I could be hired just to apply Dixie Belle gilding wax. Just finishing up this first drawer. The nightstand was a blast to do because I was able to see it all come together in one live, but this dresser will take me a little bit of time, but you know how it's going to be. The impact of this piece will be stunning, and I can't wait to get her done. There we go. It's like I skipped it right there. Let's put a little bit more right there. So the top drawer has the highlight. The bottom drawer has a highlight but has no shading. It has no gilding wax. Let me know if you have any questions for sure. Put those in the comments, and I'll be happy to check those out as I think we have a little bit of time. Let's do one more drawer with shading. So mist, then apply. The size of the brush that you choose right now for this will dictate how wide that vignetting it is. Can you see I'm kind of already softening it up with this brush. And I am going to bring it closer again. Mist, keep it wet, at least this first application. And there we go with our La Petite. If you haven't built up your Dixie Belle brush library, arsenal, weaponry, you need to do that. The more types of brushes you have, the more options you have for different finishes too. Really do recommend that you do that. Again, sometimes you might need to wipe off. You don't have to do too much wiping off because some of it's going to be covered with gold gilding wax or gilding wax in general. We're going to go across. Keep adjusting and adjusting and adjusting. That's how we roll. If it's easier for you, you could take the drawers out and work facing down. You know what I mean? Like set it on this back and just work on the drawer, not inside the cabinet, if that's easier for you. I know this can be a little bit of extra bending over and all that, but whatever works for you. So here I'm just kind of wiping away and doing one last softening up. The key word is disguise and vignette or fade. Excited to get this done. Can't wait. Really love when I can get out the glam and make it look fantastic. I'm Aaron here in the Bowtie Treasure Studio. I always have a blast using Dixie Belle products. And as a Dixie Belle content creator, it's my privilege to join y'all. Thank you so much for watching and Dixie Belle for the opportunity. I'm here in the Bowtie Treasure Studio doing my best to showcase these products. Until next time, I'm Aaron. We'll talk to you later. Stay awesome. Be creative. We'll see you later.
That's the end of the show. Make sure you subscribe and ring the bell before you go. Bye.